on Sunday, March 30th at Crooners. Space is limited, so get your tickets now at am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Matt McNeil Show on this Wednesday. Matt is on vacation, so my name is Bruce Clafleisch. I'm sitting in the McNeil chair today, hosting the show here on AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Also on WCPT 820 Chicago Heartland Signal, and on 1150 AM KKNW Seattle. So just a little background on me. I'm one of the weekend hosts. I have a show Sunday from 5 to 6. It's called Politics Matters, how politics, law, and civics affect you. So part of my show is about civics, and we're working on getting a guest here where we're going to get into a little bit about how food shelves are, some of the challenges they're facing, and how people are coping with some of those things. So, okay, it looks like we have him on. So, Brett, I don't see his picture here.
Yep, he is on the phone right now.
Oh, okay. Andrew, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Technology sometimes doesn't work the way we want to. So I wanted to have Andrew Hoffman on as a guest right away. So I wanted to talk to him. He's someone from Neighbors Inc. One of the things Neighbors does is has a food shelf in South St. Paul, and they do some other things. So first of all, Andrew, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, and you're the development director there, is that right?
Correct. I'm the development director here at Neighbors Inc. I've been here since July. I've been in the nonprofit sector for about 18 years now.
Okay. Now, could you give us a little background on what Neighbors Inc. is and what it does?
Yeah, so Neighbors Inc., it's really been known as a basic needs organization. Neighbors has been around for 53 years now. We're located in South St. Paul, and we primarily serve, I would say, northern Dakota County, but of late, we've really been expanding that as well. We've been seeing a lot more participation from people coming from Ramsey County, as well as Washington County, and just Dakota County in general. I think as the need has grown, more and more people in the community are just looking for different resources and really coming to Neighbors from that side of things. So what we do provide is food and clothing. This year, we're projecting to provide about 1.4 million pounds of food back into the community. That is up from 1 million pounds last year. So the need continues to grow there. We also do have a thrift store that's open 9 to 4 Monday through Friday and the third Saturday of the month. It is open to the community, so I just want to share that as well. It's an opportunity to get affordable clothing, but also high quality. One thing we really value here at Neighbors is around having high dignity. So every piece of clothes that comes through, we look at it very closely and make sure it's something that we would want to wear as well. So it doesn't meet certain standards. Unfortunately, it doesn't not quite make it to the lot to be sold, but we do work through some other organizations, so it doesn't just go into the trash either.
Yeah.
When it comes to food, we have a few different methods that we use for distribution. So one of them is your traditional food shelf. So there it's an appointment. We serve 164 families per week there through our food shelf. In addition, we have more of an innovative program that we have labeled the Nook. It is an on-site food distribution. It's open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock. And there, it's no appointment necessary. So we have community members who come and might only need help for a week or maybe helps offset between their next appointment. So we have really seen an increase in there. It originally started a little over a year ago, and it was just one day a week and started with about 40 people. We are now seeing per day, again, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've seen about 180 people per day come to that. And that represents 180 households per day. So the need is definitely out there. And this isn't, I will say that's not unique to Neighbors by any means, the amount of
Right.
people who are using food shelves.
So Andrew, is there any like eligibility requirements people need to come and use your services, or is it just whoever shows up can get stuff?
It depends on what services, but when it comes to food, there are some eligibilities around income level. So they do have to qualify from an income stance. It's 300% of that is the federal poverty guidelines. So it looks at household size as well as income. So it takes those two things into account. But we also do have our financial empowerment center. There's helping people with jobs and training. There's no income guidelines. Thrift store, obviously, no income guidelines. As I said, that's open to the public. But when it comes to the food specifically, there are some. But if that's something that you're interested in learning about, or someone is interested, I would have them just give us a call or stop by, and we can make sure that you're eligible ahead of time if you want.
Yeah, if somebody wants to get a hold of your services, how would they do that?
I would recommend, well, obviously you can come on by. We're at 222 Grand West in South St. Paul. The other way would be to give us a call at 651-455-5000. You can find that information online at neighborsmn.org as well. And then you can see our building hours and hours of service and such.
Yeah.
Also, you can sign up for appointments online too that way.
Right. Okay. And if you want to give a donation, that's where you can go to the website and give a donation that way too.
Correct. Yep. Neighborsmn.org.
All right. So you had mentioned the increase of people, getting at least the food aspect of it. Do you have any like thoughts or ideas on, what's been going on lately, or why there's been such this jump in usage?
Yeah. So just to kind of put things in perspective, in 2023, in the state of Minnesota, there were 7.5 million visits to food shelves. Last year, 9 million visits across the state of Minnesota. And even during the height of the pandemic, it was around 4 million. So really, I think one of the driving factors is around inflation. If you think about it, communities we work in, I would say many of them do rent, and they are at, lack of better words, really the mercy of their rent possibly being increased along those lines. So if you're really thinking about, if you don't have housing, all the other things that can trickle down from there negatively. So I think when it comes to whether or not you're going to eat, or you're going to, make sure you pay your rent or pay your mortgage, that's going to first take priority, is paying those two things to make sure that you have a shelter. So food shelves are, I think, one area that people do come to and have come to rely on for that other source. As we all know, egg prices are $7 right now for a dozen.
Yeah, right.
So, that's just one example that you and I are seeing in our pocketbooks. And you think about those who are in less fortunate situations, even more so, they're feeling that in their pocketbooks. It's even tighter as a larger percentage of their income potentially.
So Minnesota has I think in March, right? They have their food share campaign.
Correct.
That they're doing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. So through the Greater Minneapolis Council of Churches, they have a program called Minnesota Food Share. It was established over 40 years ago, and really the purpose behind that is to collectively bring the faith-based community, businesses, and just community members, bringing that awareness around the need for food. As we get closer to those lean months coming up here in the summertime, really the dollars raised now are really going to ensure that we're able to continue to feed the community going forward too. So a lot of individuals, churches, again, businesses, they will do food drives. They'll make monetary gifts as well. I will just note monetary gifts go a lot further for a couple of reasons. One is just our buying power. We have great partners such as the Food Bank of Second Harvest that really allows us to stretch that dollar even further. I would say we have about 3 times the buying power when we're able to work through those kind of partners. We also have so many terrific partners in general. Here at Neighbors, we have Cub Foods, Walmart, Target, who provide us food through food rescue, where we have volunteers who go out in the mornings and pick up food from these grocery stores who have items that are closer to expiring So again, we've been fortunate. Mexican down the street from us as well, that Supermercado is another one to ensure that we also have culturally specific food too. So it's just been such a great partnership with the different vendors, grocers, food banks that we do have. But the need is continuing to be there. So to answer your question, when it comes to Minnesota Food Share, it's just really a time that really the state comes together, the community comes together to help ensure that organizations like ours are in a position to ensure to really help feed families going forward as well, especially during those lean months. And as I've shared with you, the need's only getting more, so don't expect that going down anytime soon.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that the need is definitely more for food. Are you seeing the same thing for like your thrift store? Like,
yeah, so our thrift store, we have also seen people coming in to utilize that. I will say people are being even a little bit more price conscious than usual at our thrift store as well. So I think that kind of goes back to what I spoke about earlier, as money overall is getting tighter and people are really trying to make those decisions on what do they need. Another thing I will note is anyone who does enroll with us through our financial empowerment center, based off of that, we can also assist them in some vouchers at our thrift store as well. Really, as people are working at through our financial empowerment center, part of that is helping some of them get jobs or upskill. So I want to make sure that we have high quality items as they're doing interviews or preparing for that as well. As we both know, those kind of items cost a little bit more. They have a nice dress, shirt, suit, etc. So we're fortunate to get those kind of donations as well. And if anyone wants to donate those items, please bring them by neighbors. But from there, we really want to make sure that we have affordable prices so people can be prepared.
So you mentioned earlier you have these groups of volunteers. Like, you have any idea like how many volunteers you have working at Neighbors?
Yeah, so we have over 300 active volunteers. I want to say the number is 330 specifically, and they volunteer in so many roles. People are always amazed. We only have 15 full-time team members, but every day I think we have about 40 volunteer slots available. So it's really the hearts and hands are our volunteers who do so much of the work. So I spoke about food rescue, them picking up food in the morning.
Right.
That's one example. We have people who like to just sort through the different food that we receive in-kind gifts. In addition to that, we have people in the thrift store. And one newer area that we also have people in is really around more utilizing skilled volunteers. And what I mean by that is a lot of them have some storied careers in business. They did quite well for themselves, or they have management level positions.
All right, Andrew, I'm going to have to interrupt you here for a second. We're going to come back with you on our next segment, but we're hitting the break here, so we'll talk to you on the other side of the break.
Everyone knows I love Rudy Luther Toyota, but do you know who else loves Toyotas? Consumer Reports. They're out with their best of 2025 auto issue, and once again, it reads Toyota, Toyota, Toyota. Of the new 2025 models, Consumer Reports recommends the Prius, Corolla, Corolla Hybrid, the Camry, the Sienna, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, the RAV4, the RAV4 Hybrid, the Highlander, and the Highlander Hybrid. In almost every class, you'll find a Toyota. Find one for yourself at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, why trust science?
Well, it's our best way to get at the truth about the world.
Well, so why is the history of science full of disproven theories?
Because eliminating false theories is how we get closer to the truth.
So we should trust science now because it's been wrong in the past?
Science!
Why trust science? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That's Philosophy Talk, Sundays at 8.
Hi, this is Paul Metza, host of the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for 10 years. We feature cool people from all walks of life in all 50 states. We've had musicians, politicians, actors, poets, people with great stories or a tale to tell. Tune in every Saturday night at 6 p.m. on AM 950, and podcasts are available on all streaming services.
Hey, it's Patrick. We're headed into March, which means spring cleaning is almost here. You're about to realize that, and so is just about everybody else, too. That's why you need to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our friends at Zero Res right now. We just had Zero Res over at our house last week, and they did such a wonderful job. They were on time, professional, and we couldn't be happier with the results. Spring is a time for renewal. Let Zero Res help you refresh your home with clean carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner, starting at $129, and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, that's 3 rooms starting at $129 and $75 off an air duct cleaning. Beat the rush. Call now 952-0RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. That's Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
All right, welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, sitting in for Matt today. I'm the host of Politics Matters, how civics, politics, and law affect you on Sunday from 5 to 6 here on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. This hour, we're also out to WCPT 820 in Chicago, Heartland Signal, and also out in Seattle on 1150 AM KKNW. So the first segment, I was speaking with Andrew Hoffman, Development Director at Neighbors, Inc. in South St. Paul. And we're going to do the next segment with Andrew. Andrew, you still there?
I am.
All right. We had a little technical difficulty on the first segment, but I think we got that ironed out here. So you were talking about how many volunteers you have and some of the things that they do. Is it?
Yeah, so we have 330 volunteers here in Neighbors Inc., and they do a variety of different things that support our hunger relief programming. So that'd be food rescue, that's helping at the food shelf itself, helping with our on-site distribution. I also want to mention we also partner with 8 low-income housing communities too, where we bring food to, so they help in those areas as well. So just really helping in so many facets. And one of the newest areas I would say is around really helping us with our financial empowerment center. So we were recently awarded a grant through DEED, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, for $450,000. We were one of 28 organizations to be funded. Not every organization funded at the same level. But that's really going to allow us to serve that many more people. We have monies that are really focused to help people get certifications in industry certifications. In addition, we want to work closely with them in their job process, whether that's looking for jobs, but also just around providing mentors. So that's another area that we're looking to grow, is having more mentors. So an example being is we have one person who is looking to go into law enforcement. Well, that particular person, we were able to connect with a lieutenant at the City of Egan's police department there, just to kind of learn a little bit more about that career trajectory. So before people spend, thousands of dollars going into school, really want them to have an opportunity to hear firsthand some of those experiences and learn about what those opportunities are. So we're looking for businesses to connect with. We're looking for those who've done interviews that can help with mock interviews, help resume review, help improve resumes. So it's really looking at leading into those who are looking to help, but don't maybe want to just stock or pick up items or help hang clothes or sort through clothes, but really want to maybe use some of their skill sets that they learned prior to retirement in some cases, or even they may be working full time, but just have more episodic time that they can provide. So they can't do that regular every Thursday, but instead they can maybe just help out for a couple of nights here and there. This is just another great way to lean into that way of volunteerism.
Wow, is that grant, for how long is that grant period for?
That grant will be about 18 months to go. So we are also hiring full-time, we're adding another financial financial jobs coach as well to really assist and ensure that we are able to connect all those community members that are looking for that service. One thing I will note is we're in a great position. We have been very fortunate to have so many great community members who help support neighbors. And this is also going to allow us that regardless of income level, if you come to neighbors and if you need help, especially within this job, in the job side of things, we're here to help you. So it's not only those who are like low income, it's really for anyone. So you may be right out of college or kind of early in that process or looking to get back into the workforce, or just reach out to neighbors. We'd be happy to help.
Now, for your financial empowerment center, is there any eligibility requirements for that, or is it basically how would someone get hooked up with that program?
There is no eligibility requirements to be part of that program. So if you go online at neighborsmn.org, hover over our services, and from there you can click on the Financial Empowerment Center, and you can actually book a consultation to meet with our financial and jobs coach. So you could sign up yourself there. You could also give us a call, and we can schedule an appointment that way too, or just stop on by.
Okay, and do they have to come down to your building to do this, or is this something they can do over video, or how does that work?
You know, I would say one great thing is in this post-COVID world is that a lot more people do things virtually, just like you and I are right now.
Right.
So fortunately, you know, for that initial consultation, they wouldn't need to come in person.
Okay.
If they were really looking to get more involved beyond that pace, there may be some intake depending on the situation.
Okay.
But we can also come to them as well. So, I mean, it's really about meeting people where they're at, because at the end of the day, it's really making sure that we're helping them get a job and get in place and into a career.
So I think one of the things that this Financial Empowerment Center does, besides some of the things that you mentioned earlier, is, at least I saw on your website, something called financial coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go a little more into detail on what's involved there?
Yeah, so that's really meeting with, you know, individuals one-on-one, understanding their situation. It can go anywhere from basic budgeting to also we're partnering with some banks and credit unions and other financial institutions that go into some of those more nuanced pieces as well. One thing that we realized very early on was, as you start talking to people about their budget and things like that, if they're really looking to build wealth, I mean, one does need to have a job, I would say. Otherwise, it is difficult for really to create that generational wealth. So it's, as much as we like to talk about budgets, we also recognize that it's also about getting people into a livable wage job as well. So there may be people that are looking to upskill. They're in a current job right now. They may need a certification to kind of get to the next level. Like, we can help you with that as well. So it's not just saying you need to find a new job or a new company. It's also working with those in their current company, but may just need a little bit more certification to get to that next level.
Yeah, one of the classes I teach at the community college where I'm at is personal finance. And I know a lot of the people in my class are high school students. And I mean, they're just so happy to learn some of this information. And I also taught it at a place where there were some older people. I had as students, and like, boy, I wish I would have had this when I was younger. So, you know, this is certainly something that I think is going to be very beneficial for, you know, your clients. And also for the state as well. So, Andrew, we have about like a minute left with you here. Any other things you want to, you know, mention in the last minute here?
You know, I'd say if you're really wondering how can you help neighbors, I would say if you're an employer, reach out to us. We'd love to connect. We're looking for great businesses to get our clients connected to. If you're an individual that's looking to give back to their community, the mentoring is a great way to start, again, in our Financial Empowerment Center. If you'd rather just use your hands to help, obviously we have roles for that as well. And then if you are connected to any human service organization or have clients who can use our services, please reach out to us, help connect them. And what I would love to say is I love a warm handoff. So we'd love to develop a further relationship with you. So then it's not just reach out to Neighbors Inc., but instead you can give us a call and we can make sure to connect with that individual personally.
All right. And your phone number is?
651-455-5000.
Well, thanks a lot, Andrew, for coming on the show today and talking about Neighbors Inc. And I'm so glad to hear about your grant too. That's fabulous. Thanks again, Andrew.
Appreciate it having us.
All right. Take care. All right. We'll be back after this upcoming break here on the Matt McNeil Show.
Hello, everyone. I am Becky McNeil, host of Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This Sunday, tune in as we process through mental health and the impact of job change and professional transitions. And if you have a question about this topic or other emotional experiences, visit our website at www.becomingtogethermn.com to find the Feels Out Loud page or email us directly at contact@becomingtogethermn.com. We may share your question on the show. Join us at 9 a.m. to live and share mental health together.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey friends, it's Nancy Nelson. I have a special invitation for you. Do you know that Matt McNeil has been on the air here at AM 950 for 15 years? That is cause for celebration, and it's exactly what we're doing, and you're invited. It's all going to happen on Sunday, March 30th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Crooner's Supper Club. We'll have dinner, and you can choose beef, fish, vegan options. Lots of conversation with Matt. I'm actually going to be interviewing him about his life and his work here at AM 950. Lots of folks have created video messages congratulating him, and you need to be there. Now, the tickets are $75 a person. That includes this marvelous gourmet meal as well as the program. All you have to do is go to am950radio.com. That's where you order your tickets. It's Sunday, March 30th, 2 to 5 p.m. We are celebrating Maddie McNeil and 15 years. Oh, please come and join us. You don't want to miss it.
In these challenging times under the second Trump administration, reading can be a powerful tool to manage stress and anxiety, and Next Chapter booksellers can help. Their newest table features books designed to channel anxiety into meaningful action. From Noam Chomsky to Henry David Thoreau, it's a collection that invites you to reflect, learn, and take action during chaotic times. Explore the full list of titles at nextchapterbooksellers.com. That's Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grant, here to help keep your sanity.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 58. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 36. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high around 66. Looking for the perfect night out? Head to Crooner's Supper Club. There's amazing shows all year long, and stop by Maggie's Lounge for cocktails and conversation. Visit croonersmn.com for more info. Crooner's Supper Club, old school nightlife with a modern twist. That's Crooner's Supper Club.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. We'll expose and make sense of all of our current political nightmares and more every weeknight at 7 on AM 950.
All right, welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. Matt's on vacation for this week. I'm Bruce Clapfleisch sitting in for him today. I have a weekend show Sunday from 5 to 6 called Politics Matters, How Civics, Law, and Politics Affect You. So please check out that show. You can listen to it on any place you get your podcast as well. If you would like to call into the station during the show, you can call 952-946-6205, or you can send an email to comment@am950radio.com. So we are on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, as well as WCPT 820 Chicago Heartland Signal and 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. So my thanks to Andrew Hoffman for coming on the show for the first couple segments. I'm going to be talking about the economy here in a little bit, and this is something that I've noticed lately is how there's a lot more people using these types of services. And, I was glad to hear that they got this grant, because I think the Financial Empowerment Center that they're going to have is another thing that a lot of people are going to hopefully take advantage of. And that'll certainly help people on the lower end of, the income scales to hopefully get to the point where they don't have to use neighbors. So thanks again to Andrew for coming on to the show. So for this segment, you want to talk about the economy a little bit here. So Andrew talked a little bit about it and how there's such an increase in the use of the food shelf and the thrift store there at Neighbors. So how are you feeling about the economy these days? The stock market has dropped like a rock since last week. Last time I looked at it today, it was down again, although it wasn't down much. Maybe it's a little above today, but I mean, it's certainly gone down to the last week. And part of the reason, of course, is Trump is putting tariffs on, then he's taking them off, and then he's putting them on, and then he's changing what they cover. I mean, it's just so chaotic. And he's putting them on, at least initially, were the ones on our three biggest trading partners, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's Canada, Mexico, and China. So the stock market is in the last week is down over, at least the last time I checked, like about over 1,700 points, might even be lower, than that, counting yesterday's. I didn't quite see how far it dropped yesterday, but all of this is just not a good sign for our economy. And then today I look, and of course, Trump, now he's putting a 25% tariff on everybody that wants to sell steel and aluminum in the United States. So it's not just Canada, Mexico, and China, but now it's everybody. No, how long is that going to stay on? I mean, he just, he changes his mind so quick on some of this stuff. But the business community just hates this chaos that he's putting the economy through. And this is, one of the reasons why the stock market's dropping. And, there's other things going on here. So another reason why the economy dropped the other day was Trump was asked during an interview he had on Fox Lies. I don't call them Fox News. I call them Fox Lies, because that's basically all they do there too. He would not rule out that we would have another recession during an interview there on Sunday. Now, he said that tariffs would cause a, quote, little disturbance, close quote. Now, let's not forget, and I'm not surprised that he says, well, we can't rule out a recession. Remember, who's the presidents that put us in the last number of recessions we've had? George H.W. Bush. So that's Daddy Bush. He had one. Clinton had to clean it up. Then George W. Bush had one. Obama had to clean it up. And then Trump had one during his first term, during COVID. So Biden had to clean it up. And now, not even, a couple of months into his term, you're starting to hear a lot of economists, a lot of analysts are talking about, using the R word, recession here. So, would it surprise me if we would have a recession? No. I mean, even his commerce secretary came out and said, well, the stock market goes up or down a half a point or a point's not going to change our, what we're trying to do here. Well, it's been more than that, that it's gone down. But, it doesn't matter to them. Republicans don't care about how this is affecting the rest of us. It's well known that during times of recessions, the rich people get more money. They get richer. This is what happened during COVID. The Jeff Bezoses of the world, the Elon Musks of the world, right? They got all kinds of money. But the stock market itself is losing confidence in the Trump 2.0 policies. So this rush to do all these things that he's, trying to accomplish in a short period of time is just causing so many problems. And the longer that, these go on, and, again, there was one today with these new tariffs. The longer this goes on, the more likelihood a recession is going to occur. I mean, where were we like 21 days ago, something like that? The market was hitting all-time highs. Biden handed over a good economy to Trump. The economy appeared to be growing at a solid pace. No one was talking about a recession when Biden left office. Well, boy, how have things changed in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is now. And then you go on to Fox Lies, and all they're saying there is, well, this is a Biden recession that's going to come. They're all blaming Biden, even though Trump's been in office for over a month now, And Trump's been saying, well, almost 2 months now. And then Trump's been saying he was going to do all this stuff his first day in office. And of course, he never did. So besides these recession fears, the GDP, the gross domestic product forecasts are starting to get a lot smaller than what the initial forecasts were. Matter of fact, one of the companies that the Atlanta Federal Reserve Bank uses came out and said in the first quarter, so that means January, February, March of this year, when all those numbers are calculated, they're figuring, at least the last time I looked yesterday, a negative 2.4% drop for GDP. Now, that's not negative 2.4% from where we are now or where we were at the beginning of the quarter. That's a negative 2.4%. That's under zero, negative 2.4%. So roughly, before or at the beginning of the this last quarter, we were around upper threes, 4%, something like that for GDP. And now the forecast is like 6.5 points under that now, just in 3 months. That is not this is another reason why a lot of economists are getting pretty nervous here. So inflation's going up too. Now it's not going up as much as they thought it was here initially, but it's still going up. It didn't go down. It's still above where the Federal Reserve wants it. Unemployment is now going up. Speaking of unemployment, how many fired federal workers are going to be added to that number? The firings just keep going on. I read that at least the best estimate that they came up with was that there's been 62,000 or so federal employees fired. Wouldn't surprise me if that's actually a higher number, but because these firings are just going to continue. So today, or they started last night, but there's going to be 1,300 people fired at the Department of Education. Right. And this is just going to keep happening. So what's going to happen to some of those people? Well, they're going to go on unemployment, at least for a while, and that's going to increase the government spending. So, one of the reasons that the Republicans like to claim that they're cutting these jobs is, well, the federal government will spend less money now. Well, no, you're going to have to spend more money on unemployment, at least in the short term, which, doesn't make any sense. You're not cutting money that way. But it's not just federal government that's firing workers. Private employers are doing so as well, because they see what's going on here. Their costs are going up. Their supply chains are getting cut off, especially on these, from these things that these tariffs are on right now. So what most private producers do when their costs go up is they cut their worker force. They cut their, and they make less of their product. So now you're going to have even more unemployed people. Now you're going to get more from the private sector. I mean, they were already starting to do that before Trump even took over, when he was talking about these tariffs, because they know how these tariffs work. We also have immigrants not showing up to work because they're, afraid they're going to get picked up and deported. So we got, food sitting in fields rotting, or on trees or vines rotting because they're not getting picked. This is why our food prices are going up, or at least one reason why. Is there's less supply of that now too, because there's a bunch of it dying in the fields. And another thing that's not boding very well for the economy is credit card debt is going up. Now it's over $1.3 trillion. But lately that number has been going up faster because of these increased prices, increased inflation. Some people have lost their jobs. What are you going to do to survive? You use a credit card. So the average for the credit card holder is $8,200. What are you going to do if you can't pay that off? Or if a lot of people in the United States aren't able to pay that off? That's going to have more economic effects. So producers are even going to use this as an excuse, like they did during COVID, to raise their prices even more, even though they don't have to. And we saw this in COVID, where the employers would raise prices and they're like, well, we have to. our supply chain, and everybody else is raising prices. So we have to raise prices. They're going to do the same thing here too, which is bad news for the U.S. economy because our economy is roughly 70% of consumer spending. And if that, if it costs higher prices to buy stuff, that's going to cause GDP to drop. The latest consumer confidence study that recently came out in February dropped 6.7%, the biggest drop since August of 2021. Not to mention the trillions of dollars Congress approved to spend that Trump has held up. Now, there's been a court decision that, is saying you got to pay this, but, he's taking his sweet time if he even will. But that's still holding up all kinds of economic activity as well. So you got all this stuff going on. I mean, it's just stunning how fast the mood about the economy has flipped from being, Biden had a good economy. Yeah, inflation was still a problem, but now it's completely flipped, going from a record high, stock market to a possible recession. Now let's hope there's no recession, but again, it's not going to surprise me if that happens. This is one reason why Republicans have stopped doing town halls, I think, is because a lot of people are pissed about this. And not to mention the $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid that the Republicans are proposing. I'll talk about that here later. But people are not happy now. And Republicans, leaders in the House and Senate have basically told their people, don't go to your town halls anymore. Not that they ever had them to start with. Right? When was the last time Pete Stauber had a town hall or Tom Emmer had a town hall? I heard that there was one scheduled for him, but he didn't show up. So what's going on now is, Democrats now are starting to go to Republican or at least Republican leaning districts. I think that's certainly going to help the Democratic chances to at least take the House, assuming we have elections in 2026. And, if your 401ks keep dropping, if people are going to have to pay even more for stuff, I mean, this is not going to bode well for the Republican Party. I mean, even some of the big banks like Goldman Sachs are saying that we're going to have more of a problem, more of a likelihood of a recession. They put that number at 20% now, Goldman Sachs Bank has. Now, they think Trump's going to pull back from the tariffs, but what if he doesn't? So, I don't know. All of these threats like shutting down, things in Canada and taking over Greenland and the Panama Canal just is not a way to run an economy. So we'll take this break. We'll see you on the other side.
You got something about Joe.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale, your gathering spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis since 2012. Come check out the fun and vibrant atmosphere. Besides our traditional favorites like the Nightingale burger and fries, did you know we also have delicious vegetarian and vegan options? Plus, we have one of the best gluten-free menus in town. And for drinks, our bar staff is always creating fun new cocktails along with a thoughtfully curated wine and beer list. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m.
On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Are you experiencing troubles with thinking, comprehending, or speaking, have post-COVID brain fog, ADHD, concussion, tremors from Parkinson's, mental health issues, or simply striving to maximize your brain's potential? At Hypercharge Wellness Centers, we deliver transformative results for the brain. Hypercharge Wellness's brain fitness protocol utilizes cutting-edge modalities, including PEMF, red light therapy beds, and transcranial laser, which all work together to improve focus and cognitive functions. These treatments aim to improve the brain's blood flow and electrical patterns, which reduces anxiety and enhances relaxation, providing a comprehensive approach to brain health optimization. All are invited to experience this life-changing journey towards achieving the pinnacle of cognitive and emotional well-being. Call or go online to schedule your free Hypercharge Wellness introductory session valued at $200 today. This is your opportunity to feel the difference for yourself. No matter where you are in the Twin Cities, there is a convenient location near you. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com now. That's hyperchargeclinic.com. Hypercharge is hope.
All right, welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Clapfleisch, sitting in for Matt today, who's on vacation this week. You can catch my show, Politics Matters, How Civics, Politics, and Law Affect You, Sunday from 5 to 6 here on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, or you can listen to it on your favorite podcast. We're also on in Chicago at WCPT 820, Chicago Heartland Signal, also in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. So for this last segment for this hour of the show, oh, by the way, if you want to call, you can certainly call in. The number is 952-946-6205, or if you want to send an email, comment at am950radio.com. So last segment, I talked about a little bit about our economy and how it's not going so well and how people are even starting to talk about recession again. So wanted to talk about what the Republicans are doing. Friday, so that's a couple of days from now, we might be in a federal government shutdown unless the Republicans are able to pass something, and they probably will be able to, but who knows? Because last night the House passed a continuing resolution to fund the government through September 30th, which is the end of the federal government fiscal year. They got kind of a weird one where it starts October 1st and ends on September 30th. So they passed something last night out of the House, and now it's going to the Senate, and I don't know how, I don't know. There's some senators already some Republican senators, by the way, that have come out saying, I don't know if I'm going to vote for this. So, we'll have to see what's going on there. But that's just for keeping the government open. But what the Republicans are doing for their proposed budget for when this current budget year ends is they are trying to, and this is past the initial hurdle in the House. Part of the bill is to cut $880 billion from Medicaid. Now, I heard Nancy Nelson talk about this on Monday's show. And, this is something that I think is driving the people to go to all these town halls that the Republicans are running away from. And why is that? Well, because the Medicaid program covers mostly kids, poor and disabled people, seniors, pregnant women, and people living in long-term nursing home care. So if you take that away, that's really going to be a stress on many people's lives. Not just the ones that are going to lose some of these benefits, but people who are going to take care of these people. Right? So I read an article by the Center of American Progress, which is written on February 24th, just to see kind of, get some more numbers involved in this particular part of their Republican bill. So they had this broken down, these Medicaid cuts, they had it broken down to congressional districts. for all 50 states. So I went on the one for Minnesota just to check it out. Now for the entire country, each congressional district, the average that is going to be lost if these cuts go through is $2 billion. Now that's for each district. So there's 435 districts, and then there's 3 for and then there's some for the district, Washington, D.C. too, but that's $2 billion a district. And they could eliminate coverage for 15.9 million people across the country. So I'll round that up to 16 million. That's a lot of people and this is going to eliminate their coverage if this goes through, which is exactly what the Republicans want. I mean, let's not forget, they tried to kill Obamacare during Trump 1.0, and they almost did. I mean, John McCain, God bless him, came into the Senate, in the middle of the night and gave the old thumbs down on it. So now they're not going after Obamacare, but the Republicans are going after first Medicaid, then they're going to go after Medicare, and then they're going to go after Social Security as well. So they're starting with Medicaid, at least under this particular bill in Trump 2.0 here. So Medicaid covers roughly 1.4 million Americans, or 1 in 4 Americans, which is about 80 million people. So they're doing these cuts all, just to get a tax cut to rich people. I'll talk about that in a later segment too. I guess, if this means, less benefits for your kids and grandparents losing their health care, and maybe they have to come live in your house again or something, but Republicans don't care about that. They want, these big tax cuts for the rich people, because that's who benefits from these tax cuts. It's not you and I, or it's going to be a very small percentage of us. But if you look at some of the latest numbers, it's not even going to be us. All right. It's just the rich people are going to get the benefits, and we're going to be the ones paying for it. Now, I looked at a table that showed the congressional districts in Minnesota, and these are from 2023. These are 2023 numbers. So we have in our 8 districts a little over 1 million people on Medicaid at the present time. So the top one is Betty McCollum's in the 4th district at 153,783. Second was Pete Stauber, 151,639. What's going to happen when the funding dries up for these people? The million people that are covered in Minnesota. Well, the total loss is going to be roughly $13.11 billion in the state of Minnesota. That's about 197,000 people are going to get kicked off. What are these people going to do? Right, this is why a lot of these people are showing up at the town halls saying, what's going on here? And even if the Republicans that do show up, they don't have a good answer for it. They just say, well, it's the fraud, waste, and abuse. And, they give you some typical word salad. They don't even really answer the question. But if these go through, the states now are going to have to either raise taxes to cover these costs, or they're going to have to scale back eligibility requirements for medical assistance in Minnesota, or they're not going to pay as much to the hospitals, which is going to maybe have some of these hospitals go down, especially the ones in the rural areas. All right, Chicago and Seattle, thanks for listening. And then we come back from the break. We'll do the hour here, second hour for Minnesota.
Tune in this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing That's Not Totally True garden myths, as well as the world of lettuces. Our guest is canner and blogger Linda Zidrick will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So tell your friends Garden Talk Radio is on AM 950 from 7 to 8 a.m. Saturday mornings.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches. turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The Education Department's Civil Rights Branch is losing nearly half its staff. That's amid President Donald Trump's administration laying off and effectively gutting an office that already faces a backlog of thousands of complaints from students and families across the nation. The AP's Mariah Ballingett.
President Donald Trump has pledged to dismantle the Education Department. And recently, the department announced that it is laying off more than 1,300 employees. That, along with other cuts, means that the department will be about half the size it was when Trump took office. It handles more than $1 trillion in student loans and grants, and there are nearly 43 million Americans who have them. It also oversees billions of dollars in funding for K-12 schools. And finally, it ensures that the civil rights of students are being safeguarded. So when a student with a disability is being denied accommodations or a Latino student is facing racist harassment, the department steps in and makes things right. Advocates are really concerned that the department won't be able to fulfill its duties and that ultimately it's students who will end up paying the price.
During a meeting with Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin, President Trump says his tariffs are aimed at righting past wrongs.
The United States of America is going to take back a lot of what was stolen from it by other countries and by, frankly, incompetent U.S. leadership. Grossly incompetent.
There's a new lawsuit against a popular seafood company.
Lawyers representing 4 Indonesian fishermen say the fishermen were beaten and trapped on vessels that were part of the global supply chain that provides tuna to Bumblebee Seafoods. The lawsuit against the canned seafood giant accuses it of knowingly benefiting from forced labor. Their lawyer says it is believed to be the first such case of forced labor at sea brought against a U.S. seafood company and accuses Bumblebee of violating the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
This is AP News.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99 with the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account imported on $60 plan. For service charge and tax to with sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
I love my Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota for one simple reason. I can depend on them. You know they keep you safe, and they're incredibly reliable, fuel-efficient, comfortable, and stylish. The Consumer Reports Best of 2025 edition has 10 Toyotas as best buys in affordability. Toyotas are some of Consumer Reports' highest-rated certified pre-owned vehicles, and Rudy Luther Toyota's service department is the one place I take my CNF for all of its maintenance needs. Toyotas are fantastic vehicles because they're fantastic vehicles. See for yourself at Rudy Luther Toyota off of 394 in Golden Valley.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Reading can help manage stress and anxiety during these chaotic Trump years. If you're craving something lighter, check out Next Chapter Booksellers' new fiction tables. Explore their collection of Japanese and Korean healing fiction. They're cozy, whimsical stories filled with magical cats, quaint cafes, and more. Or if you're in the mood for something more intense, check out their upsetting shelf, filled with the strangest and most surreal novels you'll find anywhere. So have Next Chapter Booksellers help you keep your sanity over the next 4 years. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 58. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 36. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high around 66. Celebrate Matt McNeil's 15 years on AM 950 with an unforgettable afternoon at Cruder's Supper Club. Enjoy a delicious dinner and a live conversation with Nancy Nelson interviewing Matt on Sunday, March 30th at Crooner's. Space is limited, so get your tickets now at am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Welcome back to the second hour of the McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, sitting in for Matt today, who's on vacation this week. He'll be back on Monday. If you have a question, you can call 952-946-6205. Comment at am950radio.com if you want to send an email. So I have a show on the weekend here on AM 950 Radio, Sundays from 5 to 6, called Politics Matters, how civics, politics, and law affect you. So you can go check that out or listen to it on your podcast. So I'm here with Brett today. Brett, how are we doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right in here. Good as you can during this Trump administration.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to ask you, but it was just like this last commercial that played that I had heard today about this thing for Matt. Celebration. Could you just go through that again for people that may have just tuned in and missed the commercial? What's going on with Matt for his
so he is having a 15th anniversary celebration coming up at Cruder's Supper Club. That's going to be, again, Sunday, March 30th, 2 to 5 o'clock. Nancy Nelson's going to be there conducting an on-stage interview with Matt, and you can get those tickets over at am950radio.com.
All right. Sounds like a good time. 15 years. You know, I remember when I first moved down here, I think Matt was on in the morning, the early mornings, 6 in the morning or something.
Yeah, you used to have the morning grind, yes.
Yeah, that's where I first listened to him and been listening to him ever since, during his different time changes and things. So, yeah, that should be a good time. So congratulations to Matt for 15 years. So for those of you that listen to my show, I oftentimes criticize the media because I think they do a horrible job when it comes to politics. Well, they may do great jobs on other things, but when it comes to politics, I think they just do a horrible job. And one reason is, as I've talked about, is the double standard that they have between the Republicans and the Democrats. Like when Biden was president, the press corps was yelling questions at him, one over the other and talking over each other and all this stuff. And, now the press, when Trump comes into office or even during his first term, they were asking him these easy layup questions. And when he didn't even answer them like he hardly does, they just let it slide. They didn't do any follow-up, didn't push him, didn't do anything. And you're going to see that more and more now that, the White House itself is now picking its own press coverage. I mentioned that on my show earlier. So they don't call Trump's lies actual lies like they should be. And they run around, they stick, microphones in front of Democrats saying, hey, what do you, what's this about? What do you think about what Biden said? And, all this sort of thing. And they don't do anything to, they don't stick a microphone in front of Pete Stauber and ask him about what Trump said. No, they don't do that kind of stuff. And, they just let Trump and now Musk just lie all day long, every day with no pushback. So I'm going to take the opportunity on Matt's show here to go after him again. In this case, I'm going to be talking about what the lack of their coverage of Bernie Sanders. He's out there doing his fighting the oligarchy tour around the Midwest, mostly right now, but I assume he'll go other places too. And other than seeing a few lines here and there in a newspaper or a headline on some website, but they don't go into any detail about what he's doing, what he's saying. I haven't seen anything really from corporate media of any, depth. You hardly even see it on YouTube. There's some videos about what Bernie's doing, but it's not corporate media that's uploading them. So One of the reasons, as I said before on my show, is that 6 media companies own about 90% of the media in the United States. All of these 6 companies are run by Republicans. All of them have given millions of dollars to Republicans and to Trump. So am I shocked that they're not covering Bernie Sanders? No. I mean, they didn't really cover him when he was running for president. So I'm not surprised that they're not doing that now. So he's been out there giving speeches. He was even over in Kenosha, Wisconsin recently. I mean, he's packing in big crowds where there's not enough seating. Right? And then they have to they have overflow seating, and they hook up some, interactive TVs so people can watch them and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's just so many people coming to these things. And I don't think that these are just like all Democrats, like the Republicans like to claim. Well, it's just Democrats going to these town halls. There's no Republicans. And they're paying the Democrats. That's what Fox Live says. Right? It's not like the, media is going to acknowledge. They don't want to acknowledge what is happening with the working class communities. They're a lot of the corporate media. They're corporate media for a reason. They're for pro-business. They're for the rich people. They're not covering stuff that will help the working class. Why would they want to do that? Right. So, I mean, and Bernie, he was in Warren, Michigan, and he got 10,000 people there. And, basically hardly any, mention of it. And why is corporate media perhaps not covering it? Well, because he's talking about corporate greed in his speeches. Not to mention the corruption caused by money sloshing around in politics, including that media money. That might be one reason, right? He's not whining and dining millionaires like Trump does at Mar-a-Lago, but, he's talking to the common people. Corporate media just can't find a convenient scapegoat, or, there's no great grievance politics like Trump and the Republicans love to always, whine and complain about. He's not doing that. He's just telling it like it is. Which, in their mind, I guess, it doesn't get them more clicks on their websites or watching their videos. They don't want to cover how Musk is throwing millions of dollars into a Supreme Court race in Wisconsin to try and buy the Republicans a majority on that court again. Now, again, you might hear, you might get a line or two here, but I mean, he's pumped in literally millions of dollars into that race, and hardly a peep from corporate media. Corporate media wants people sitting at home, right, watching their shows rather than going to a rally where, the corporate media is blamed for some of, the things going on. Plus, when you go to one of these rallies, you're more likely to reject the corporatist structure that is, part of the corporate media. So it's no wonder why they don't cover it. But I think another reason why they don't cover it is because the progressive agenda is a popular agenda with ordinary people, even some Republicans. It's what if you look at polling like separate, you don't call it Democrat, you don't call it Republican, you just put a question out there about like raising the minimum wage or something. The majority of American people want the progressive agenda. They like it. But that's not on the corporate media's agenda, right? So they're not going to cover it. Isn't it ironic that it's Bernie Sanders, an independent, he's not technically a Democrat, but it's ironic that it's an independent doing this. Where are all the other Democrats? Now, there's a few of them out there. I mean, I saw Mark Pocan in Wisconsin. He went to like the very edge of his district, which has more Republicans in there. But Democrats, you got to start going out there. Go into the Republican territory, because what you should be talking about is what Bernie is getting at here, which is basically the rich versus the poor type of a situation. Where, the American government has turned into a corporatist, oligarchical system where the rich people run it now. And we don't anymore. So Democrats, get out there. How many people, by the way, would you think would show up at, let's say, a rally that Chuck Schumer does? This is why he's not out there, right? Like, how many, if instead of Bernie, how about if it was like Hakeem Jeffries? Would there be thousands of people showing up there?
People would be saying, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah. Never heard of him. Now, they may have heard of Chuck Schumer, but Hakeem Jeffries, of course, is the leader of the Democrats in the House. But I did this little experiment where yesterday the Democratic leadership in the House was giving a press conference, after the House did their, pass this continuing resolution. At the time that I saw this, guess how many people were actually watching that on YouTube now?
On YouTube? Couple thousand?
Nope. 731. Now, imagine if Bernie Sanders had done something like that. He would get a lot bigger number than that.
Yeah.
So, people would come, they would show up more for AOC rally or a Jasmine Crockett rally, but these corporate Democrat leaders, they just won't let them get out there. And then if they do go out there, they of course discipline them. I mean, it's just really, really sad. But Bernie doesn't have this problem. So I hope Ken Martin, the new DNC leader, is seeing all this as what's going on. Take advantage of this situation, Ken. So we're going to go to our first break here as we head out. And then when we come back, I'm going to talk about education. So we will talk to you after the break.
Hey, AM 950 listeners, this is John Parker of The Daily Show, and we're having a riot Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m., talking with Minnesota's political leaders, as well as educators, healthcare providers, authors, and theater makers about progressive news and politics. Where else can you get White House correspondent for the Washington Blade, Christopher Kane, queer film reviews, and compassionate, honest talk to uplift Minnesota's LGBTQ and allied community? Join the conversation on The Daily Show Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m. and everywhere you get your podcasts.
I'm Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics, ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. We'll provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction again. Does your home feel colder than it should with the furnace constantly running? Or do certain rooms always feel colder than the rest of the house? Those are signs the attic in your home may need an insulation upgrade. Snap Construction can help by providing a free energy audit for your home's insulation. The average cost of getting new insulation can cost much less than a new furnace. Plus, Snap Construction is a BPI certified installer. That means if you use Snap for your next insulation project, you qualify for up to $650 in total rebates from your energy provider. After my free inspection, my insulation upgrade was completed within a few weeks and the rebate check was in the mail. Snap to it and reduce your heating bill this winter with Snap Construction. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP for your free energy audit when you mention AM 950. Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation company in the metro.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our local small businesses. Do you want more leads, more store traffic, more customers? Thousands of local businesses, just like yours, count on Minuteman Uptown to drive sales. We make your business stand out and show out. We print everything from signage, promotions, and direct marketing. We connect you to the community. Choose Minuteman Uptown because we share your values and we are a proud union shop. Contact us today at mpuptown.com.
Is your teen or young adult withdrawing, experiencing anxiety or depressive thoughts? They may need a larger team to care for them. That's where Hazelden Betty Ford comes in. Our team of experts help guide with proven mental health and substance use support. You can trust Minnesota's #1 teen treatment center to help your child thrive. Turn to WeGotYou.org to learn more. Hazelden Betty Ford. We Got You. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation and aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
All right, welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, sitting in for Matt today. If you have a question, call 952-946-6205 or send an email to comment@am950radio.com. You can also listen to my weekend show Sunday from 5 to 6 called Politics Matters, How Civics, Politics, and Law Affect You. So we got a call from Philip Anthony, who I believe is going to be taking this show tomorrow, right? Right, Philip?
I think so. Yes. How are you, Bruce?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. You're doing a fantabulous job, by the way.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up something that was that happened recently in a subcommittee hearing. Sarah McBride was misgendered twice by a Republican representative. His last name is Self, which very selfish
right.
of him. Yeah, right. And she kind of like got him back by saying, "Yes, Madam Chairperson." You know,
right.
And yeah, I loved it. But the thing is, again, there's no respect going on in the House when it comes to gender, and now the Donald Trump thing with the two genders thing. He's using that as an excuse of why he called Representative McBride a he, Mr.
Right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because, as you know, my show, the Downright Upright Show here at AM 950, we talk about a lot of LGBTQ issues. And this was something that was irritating me, and I just wanted to get it off my chest. Yes. How are you doing there, Bruce? How's it going?
Well, I'm doing great, and I did see at least a something on a video of that, and I believe that Republican, he was called out for it, and then he closed the hearing.
Yeah, he adjourned it.
Just,
Yep.
yeah.
He was so I think he had nothing to say. He knew he was being rude and disrespectful to Representative McBride. So, but then he came on his social media and said, well, the president says there's only two genders. So that means you have to be disrespectful too,
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, if my name is Philip, your name is Bruce, I'll call you by the name you want to be called. It's so easy. Just do it, people.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So, and tomorrow I'm going to be sitting in your chair. I'm so excited.
Well, and I'm sure you'll be probably talking a little bit more about this particular issue.
Yeah, well, that, and I have a litany of things because, it's like a fire hose in the mouth kind of thing,
Right.
I mean, so I'm going to be on there tomorrow with my co-host, Austin Ballhagen. She's going to be with me.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be two of us. And if you want to call us tomorrow too, feel free. And again, you're doing a fantabulous job, and I hope to see you soon.
All right. Thanks for the phone call, Philip.
You bet. Take care, Bruce.
Listen to the show tomorrow. Yeah. So we, as I going to the break, I said, I'm going to talk about education. So I heard on one of the commercials while we were waiting to come back on the air, right, that they've already started firing people at the Department of Education, and this particular part was the Civil Rights Division. They're at least it sounds like they're going to cut half their staff is what they're trying to do there. And there'll be another lawsuit. I mean, all of this that's going on, there's going to be lawsuits upon lawsuits here. Right. And this is the Republicans doing something that the people don't want. I mentioned a little bit about that last segment with the progressive agenda and how people actually like it as long as you don't term it as a Democrat or Republican viewpoint on a lot of this stuff. 66% of the people oppose the closing of the Department of Education, but Trump is hell-bent on doing it. And, this is just the start. So, so much for the government doing what the people want. Here's what's going on is the Republicans for years, right, have tried and have dreamed about privatizing education, taking it out of the hands of the public, so to speak, and just let the businesses do it. So they can, indoctrinate the people into their way of thinking. They love to say, "Oh, the colleges and the universities are indoctrinating, the students because all these teachers are, Democrats," which is not the case. But they've dreamed about doing this for years, and this is one of the first steps. Is shut this down. They're going to get rid of the money, that at least that the federal government sends to the states for education, right? And this is what the first number of steps look like. So once the money dries up, it's easier for a takeover by the private schools. And pulling all this money out is going to force the states to do a couple things. Either the states are going to have to raise their taxes to come up with this money that they're losing from the federal government. Or at least in Minnesota, our school system is, at least at the K-12 level, is mainly funded by local property taxes, and you're going to have to raise those up if you want to get more money for education. Or, unfortunately, if you can't, you're going to close your school, and then the private schools are going to take it over. How many rural schools in Minnesota are going to close as a result of something like this happens? Will people start changing their minds and start voting for referendums to raise their taxes to keep their schools open? We're probably going to find out. My high school, they had 2 failed referendums, let go of the superintendent, and they got $600,000 worth of debt, a shortage in their budget. They're going to have to do something here. Here's another problem with, let's say we get rid of the Department of Education. Department of Education is, part of the federal government that deals with and runs the student loan program for colleges. What's going to happen to that? They haven't, Trump or Musk or, nobody's come out and said what's going to happen to the student loan program. Well, my guess is, and it's just a guess, that it's going to go to the Department of Treasury probably. And right now, the student loan debt to the federal government is roughly $1.64 trillion. And what's the government going to do to try and collect that amount of money if the Department of Education is gone? And, the people at the Department of Treasury, what are they going to do with all this added workload? And there's a hiring freeze on at the Department of Treasury. This is part of the problem with cutting all these workers. Like, they are going to end up cutting services too, but this is what they want, right? This is the whole purpose of doing this, is knocking down the administrative state, right? Get rid of these agencies. That's what they're trying to do. So who's going to run the student loan program in the future? Well, of course, it's going to be the private sector, right? We're going to go back to the way it was, where the banks run the system, right? And they're going to charge you a higher interest rate, and they're not going to be as flexible with paying back their loans, and they're not going to be more flexible when it comes to, saving yourself from defaults. So you're probably going to have even more people defaulting on their student loans. And by the way, students can't use, at least the way the law is currently, the current bankruptcy laws don't allow you to use the bankruptcy code to get rid of your student debt. Now there is a very slim exception to that, but for the most of us, no, you can't use bankruptcy to get rid of debt like that, your student loan debt. I mean, Biden tried to do this, right? But the Republicans on the Supreme Court said, nah, you can't do that. So who's going to run this program? Nobody's, answered that yet. So if you're at a town hall with a Republican, ask them that question. They probably don't have an answer either, but at least ask the question. Now, you know what else is going on at the various college campuses? Yes, it's the killing of free speech. Trump has canceled $400 million in money to Columbia University because in his mind, they didn't do enough to stop pro-Palestinian protests on campus. I mean, students are out there exercising their First Amendment right to free speech on the campus, and, Trump didn't like what they were doing. Like, how dare they protest like they did here? The Republican Party loves to claim that, the left is stifling our free speech rights. And, You hear this all the time from Republicans. Well, they're the ones doing it. Right? They love it when Republicans are doing it to the libs. This is the way, to own the libs, right? And there are more than just Columbia. I mean, more colleges being threatened by Trump. The faculty groups and student groups at some of these schools are pushing back, saying they're not the hotbed of anti-Semitism like the Republicans are claiming that they are. But you can't just get rid of free speech rights for students. So I think if they start getting even worse with stopping free speech rights, like start arresting people just because they said something, you're going to get more lawsuits out of this, and it wouldn't surprise me if Trump tried to do this. Now they actually have done this basically to one student at Columbia. Now he had a green card, which is he's a legal immigrant at least for the duration of the green card. He was one of the people that was like a liaison between the administration at Columbia and the students who were protesting. He was recently arrested by the Trump administration and whisked off to a jail in Louisiana for some reason. And they're trying to deport him just because he, was working with the students and working with the school to try and, bring an end to the protests. Now, a federal judge has put a hold on deporting him, but there's going to be a hearing, and, maybe at some point the judge will decide, well, he can stay, or maybe the judge will say, yeah, under the current law, you can deport him. Trump is promising more arrests here. He's even put out a list of colleges that he's targeting. There's 10 of them. Guess who is one of those 10? The University of Minnesota is one of those. Okay, and on March 13th and 14th, the Board of Regents for the University of Minnesota is going to be considering a resolution to prohibit departments from making political statements on issues of the day. Really? You're really going to consider that? Let's hope they just don't bend the knee to this. Bend the knee to Trump on this. So, put some pressure on the Board of Regents. There's still time to tell them you don't want them to do this. Time to put pressure on them if you want free speech at the U of M school. So this is not just the U of M Minneapolis. I mean, this is all of the University of Minnesota schools. Plus, I'm guessing politics was involved here with this choice of the U of M, because it's in Ilhan Omar's district. And, in Tim Walz' estate, who ran against Trump, right? Coincidence? Nah, I don't think so. I think this is just another start on the crackdown of student dissent, crackdown of dissent against Trump. How dare these college students and faculty exercise their free speech rights? And if these rights go away, whose rights are, going to be taken next? All right. So when we come back, we'll head to the break here and we'll start talking about the Democrats and some of the things that they're doing when we come back here on the Matt McNeil Show.
Tune in this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing That's Not Totally True garden myths, as well as the world of lettuces. Our guest is canner and blogger Linda Zidrick will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So tell your friends Garden Talk Radio is on AM 950 from 7 to 8 a.m. Saturday mornings.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
KTNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is Andy Addo, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we talk about addiction and recovery journey with Caddy Frink from Minnesota Recovery Connection. Whether you're considering making a positive change for yourself or want to better support a loved one, join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. for a great conversation right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Progressive change doesn't just happen. It takes dedication and a lot of hard work. 25 years ago, the Data Bank pioneered a new generation of software tools for progressive organizations here in Minnesota. Since then, thousands of organizations have used the Data Bank to create progressive change. Today, the Data Bank continues to help progressive organizations like AM 950. To have the Data Bank help your organization build capacity and create more change, text CHANGE to 612-540-0500 or go to thedatabank.com. The Data Bank, a quarter century of dedication and hard work for progressive organizations.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 58. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 36. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high around 66. Looking for the perfect night out? Head to Crooner Supper Club. There's amazing shows all year long, and stop by Maggie's Lounge for cocktails and conversation. Visit croonersmn.com for more info. Crooner Supper Club, old school nightlife with a modern twist. That's Crooner Supper Club.
You remind me of the babe. Power of voodoo.
All right, welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Clafleisch, sitting in for Matt today, who's on vacation this week. He'll be back on Monday. You can check out my show, Politics Matters. It's Sunday from 5 to 6 here on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, or wherever you hear your podcasts. If you'd like to call the show today, 952-946-6205, or if you have a comment, you want to email something to Brett here, he can take a look at it. It's comment at am950radio.com. All right. So I when I do my shows, I often, one of the segments, as I mentioned before, I usually deal with the media. Another one is the Democrats. So this is what this section is going to be about here, because I really think the Democrats are missing out on this opportunity to make some good headway with the average people and to get more people ready and working for them, and hopefully, assuming we have elections in 2026, turning out for them. We had so many, people didn't turn out in this last election that cost us. So this is going to be the section where I criticize the Democrats a little bit. I mean, I kind of already did with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries earlier, but why stop now, right? So, the first thing I wanted to bring up is, people are talking about, why aren't the Democrats fighting harder for us? Why are they, trying to be some, bipartisan, and they're, these are not normal times. Why are they acting like it's normal times? So, and this is an example right here where yesterday, 17 Democrats in the Senate voted to have the new, let the nominee for Trump for the Labor Department. They passed her. One of the 17 was Minnesota's own Amy Klobuchar, which by doing so, another one of my predictions was right, where I thought, she would do this. She would do this occasionally. She likes to claim, she's bipartisan and all these sorts of things. Well, Here she just voted for another appointment, of Trump's. Why are you doing this, Democrats? Are you not listening to the people out there? The people out there don't want you to play nice with Republicans at all. And by doing so, you are pissing off your base, which is expecting you not to cooperate with a fascist or the Republican Party in general. Is it really that hard to read the room here? What's going on right now around the country? So what's going to happen now at the Department of Labor now that this person is in with the help of 17 Democrats, including Amy Klobuchar? Well, they're going to fire, like they have with all these other agencies. They're going to fire a bunch of people once that person, well, she's in there now. So, get ready for some firings at the Department of Labor. And you are also going to see them change a lot of the rules to gut unions in this country. Now, first of all, there isn't a whole lot of unions in this country as compared to, the number of union people back in let's say the 30s and the 40s. But this is what they're going to do. The Republicans know that a lot of Democratic candidates get money from unions. Now, it's not near the money that the Republicans get from the millionaires and billionaires, but it's something. Right? This is one of the money pipelines for Democrats are the unions. No, not all of them, but, a good majority of them at least. So you're going to see them try and gut the unions. Literally get rid of the unions in the United States. Make the United States a right-to-work country is what they're going to be trying to push through here. So get ready for that. And again, I don't know why 17 Democrats decided to vote to approve this person, but, read the room already. Come on. Speaking of not reading the room, and speaking of Chuck Schumer, got to talk about the Trump, I call it the Trump propaganda speech to Congress. Right? This is, I don't know, a week or so ago now. And all it was, I mean, I didn't watch it. I quit watching Trump a long time ago. I just can't handle all of his lies. But from what some of the stuff I read and heard about that speech, that's all it was. Again, was just a bunch of lies. Well, I want to talk more about the Democratic response by Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin. So this is who Chuck Schumer picked to give this speech. Now, right away, when I hear Chuck Schumer pick somebody, I'm like, uh-oh. Don't expect much from this speech. And if you follow Alyssa Slotkin, she was a House member prior to she just won election in the last one. Here's a Michigan senator. So she's a new senator. And if you follow her career, she's somebody who votes with Republicans. She's one of these, corporate bipartisan type Democrats. So here again, I wasn't really expecting much from her, just given her background. One of those being she's voted for 8, count them 8, of Trump cabinet nominees so far. So again, I wasn't expecting much. And, to be honest, I didn't get much from her. Now, I know there's lots of people who would probably disagree with that, but here I just want to go through some of these things and how the Democrats really need to start changing what they're doing here. Because let's not forget, we've lost now 2 elections to Trump, and Biden barely won the intervening one in the Electoral College. I mean, Democrats should have easily won this last election if they had been doing stuff a different way than what they are. And I think putting her up is just doing things the same old way. So why am I saying this sort of stuff? Well, one reason is I do this periodically where after some speech or something, I go on YouTube and I look at, well, how many people are watching this stuff? So, Bernie Sanders gave a response. His response after 12 hours or so of being out there, it was 2.5 million. Now, this is just one place. There's all kinds of people putting up, parts of his speech or his whole speech on YouTube. But 2.5 million. Then I looked at one during the same time frame for Alyssa Slotkin, 200,000. That's a big difference in viewership. I think there's a lot of Democrats who are like, Alyssa Slotkin, it's just not exciting to them. Whereas Bernie Sanders certainly was. But there's no way that Schumer would pick Bernie, right? Even though he's killing it on the speaking tour, as I mentioned before. Slotkin, besides voting for 8 Trump cabinet picks, she worked for George Bush as a national security advisor in Iraq. And was, worked during the Iraq War. So it wasn't surprising me that in her speech, she mentioned George Bush as being a patriot. No. She even, I'll talk here a little bit later, but she even brought up Ronald Reagan during her speech. But when I listened to her speech, it was like, just more general stuff, right? No passion, no sense of urgency that we are not in normal times. There's a fascist coup going on, an attempted coup, and all she did was call it reckless. She just gave a general critique of what Trump is doing. But she didn't, she needs, and Democrats need to do this more. They need to make it more personal for people. So, for example, she talked about, all these people getting fired. Well, you should say, a lot of those people who are being fired are veterans. And there's literally been thousands of veterans fired. They hold a lot of these federal government jobs. Well, not anymore. So she needed to mention that. If she's, pro-national security, will bring up the fact that a lot of veterans got fired. And probably more will in the future. And bring up the fact that one of the first things Trump did when he became a president is he signed an executive order raising your drug prices. You got to bring it home. You got to people, make it more personal to them. But did she say something like that? Nope. You got to have it more relatable to people. This is why Bernie, this is why AOC, this is why Jasmine Crockett, this is why like Jamie Raskin, all the typical, names that I mentioned today, they communicate so much better because they're able to do it. They're able to relate to people. And Slotkin even came out and said, well, I'll join you to help cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Which basically gave credence to Trump's argument about this, right? It's like, why did you need to say that? Why didn't you say, where is all this evidence of waste, fraud, and abuse? I don't see any. You haven't shown us any. And oh, by the way, why was one of the first things that Trump did when he became president was firing 17 inspector generals of these agencies whose job it was to investigate waste, fraud, and abuse in the first place. Did she say that? No. Hardly, mentioned of what Trump is actually doing. Why are they firing all these people? If you really want to, find waste, fraud, and abuse, well, why are you firing the inspector generals? That's what they're doing. And some of them, some of these IGs had found waste, fraud, and abuse in the past. She even praised Reagan a couple of times in this supposed Democratic Party response to the speech. I just found her response to be short on what Democrats will actually do to counter what the Republicans are doing. This is another problem Democrats have, is they like to go out there and, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, Republicans bad, Republicans bad. Okay, great. But you got to tell the people what you would be proposing, how you would fix the problem, how the Democrats would do so much better. Give these people a reason to vote for you. Not voting against Trump or voting against the Republicans, but voting for you. Go out there and say, hey, if you put Democrats in charge, we're going to give you universal health care, which, by the way, she opposes, which is another reason why I didn't expect a whole lot from her. But, raising the Social Security benefits, raising the minimum wage, popular items favored by the majority of Americans. Go out there and say, hey, we're going to tax the rich. And have a wealth tax. And, this is what FDR did. FDR got elected 4 times by going after the rich people. None of this stuff was in her speech. Like, what are Democrats going to do to make lives better for ordinary Americans? You needed to put that in the speech here. You needed to talk about how the robber barons and the rich people are against the rest of us. Get back to the rich versus poor idea here. So this isn't a Republicans versus Democratic issue when it comes to rich versus poor. Again, this is why Bernie Sanders is just killing it right now. He has this message, and it's resonating with people right now. And her speech just didn't meet the moment. So, Democrats, please, for your next response to some Trump speech or some, or speech by the Republicans, please put somebody out there that has, more urgency for what's going on with these precarious times here where democracy is barely holding on. We got to make some changes here. So please, Democrats, you got to do better here with your messaging. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about rural voters for the last segment. So we will catch you on the other side of the break.
Hello, my friends. It's Nancy Nelson. I have an invitation. Our Maddie McNeil has been on the air here at AM 950 for 15 years. We're celebrating, and you should join us. It's Sunday, March 30th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Crooner Supper Club. You order a marvelous dinner. There's going to be a lot of videos of people congratulating Maddie, and then I'm going to interview him about his life and his career, and you have the chance to spend time with him and meet him. Order your tickets, am950radio.com. Join us.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, why trust science?
Well, it's our best way to get at the truth about the world.
Well, so why is the history of science full of disproven theories?
Because eliminating false theories is how we get closer to the truth.
So we should trust science now because it's been wrong in the past?
Science! Why trust science? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That's Philosophy Talk, Sundays at 8.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Join us April 10 through 12 at the Capital Readiness Summit, where we're bridging the gap between investors, support organizations, and the entrepreneur community. In just 2 days, you'll make connections that could take you years to build. With over 180 degrees of networking power, this is your chance to meet people you've been looking for. But hurry, the summit sells out every year. Register now at www.connectupmn.org. That's connectupmn.org. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for updates and discount codes. If you're an entrepreneur and investor, you don't want to miss this event of the year.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
In these challenging times under the second Trump administration, reading can be a powerful tool to manage stress and anxiety. And Next Chapter booksellers can help. Their newest table features books designed to channel anxiety into meaningful action. From Noam Chomsky to Henry David Thoreau, it's a collection that invites you to reflect, learn, and take action during chaotic times. Explore the full list of titles at nextchapterbooksellers.com. That's Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grant, here to help keep your sanity.
Right, Welcome back to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, sitting in for Matt today. He's on vacation this week. He'll be back on Monday. So this final segment here is going to be talking about rural voters. You know, something I know Matt's talked about before. I've talked about it before on my show. And I just want to bring up, just in the remaining minutes here, just a few things about why do rural voters seem to always vote for Republicans, particularly not just in Minnesota like they've been doing, but around the country. Especially when, the Republicans pass, proposed bills and laws like they did last night that are only going to hurt rural voters, especially hurt rural voters. So why do they keep doing this? I mean, why do 75% of the people in rural Minnesota vote for Republicans? I mean, that's a lot of the, if you look at the election results, it's not unusual to see it that much. So I mentioned earlier about the tax cut. So guess who's going to get to pay less taxes? Well, it's going to be the top 5%, not the rest of us. The rest of us get to pay for it, get to pay more taxes, according to a study done by the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy. So if you make $55,000 a year, and I just picked like a kind of an average number here, your taxes are actually going to go up $1,530. Now, how many people got $1,530 sitting around that can pay an extra taxes if that tax cut goes through? Not a whole lot of people. The top 5% are the ones that are going to make, the money here. So the study showed that the top 5 people are people who make $360,000 and higher. Those are the people that are going to get more money. So for the first 4% of that group, so 360,000 up to 915,000, this is a savings. They're going to get a tax cut of $7,160. Then for the final 1%, which is over 915,000, those people are going to get a tax cut of 36,320. Now, if you're out in rural Minnesota and you're looking and saying, I got to pay $1,530 more to give tax cuts to people who probably don't even need them, why do you keep voting for Republicans, who are the ones that pass this sort of stuff? Rural Americans, they tend to make less money. And, now you're going to have to pay more if this tax cut goes through. And I talked earlier about the, people that are going to get kicked off of healthcare. A lot of those are going to be out in rural Minnesota. And let's not forget about education, right? Less education, less money going out into rural schools, and they're going to have to raise their taxes to keep those schools. How many places are going to vote to raise their own taxes? These are Republicans doing this to you. This is not Democrats. Are you willing to lose your schools just so you can own the libs? I hear that all the time. Like, Democrats, I vote for Republicans out here in rural Minnesota because Democrats just raised my taxes. Well, Republicans are actually the ones that raise your taxes. And they're going to raise them by a lot if this thing goes through. Well, what about farmers? Well, first, the USAID program was cut. That was a big market for farmers. That's gone. They're going to cut $230 billion from the SNAP program, the food stamp program. That market going to be gone for you farmers. And you got these tariffs. Some of those tariffs involve food. Right? China, I just read recently, China is going to get more food from Brazil now than the United States. That market's going to be gone. Now, why do you keep voting for Republicans? They're the ones who really are hurting your small town. So why don't you try voting for Democrats and just see what happens, right? What's going to happen if more Democrats come in power? I think you'll see a positive change. So thanks again for listening to the show today. Talk to you on my show on Sunday.
Hey friends, it's Nancy Nelson. I have a special invitation for you. Do you know that Matt McNeil has been on the air here at AM 950 for 15 years? That is cause for celebration, and it's exactly what we're doing, and you're invited. It's all going to happen on Sunday, March 30th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Crooner's Supper Club. We'll have dinner, and you can choose beef, fish, vegan options. Lots of conversation with Matt. I'm actually going to be interviewing him about his life and his work here at AM 950. Lots of folks have created video messages congratulating him, and you need to be there. Now, the tickets are $75 a person. That includes this marvelous gourmet meal as well as the program. All you have to do is go to am950radio.com. That's where you order your tickets. It's Sunday, March 30th, 2 to 5 p.m. We are celebrating Maddie McNeil and 15 years. Oh, please come and join us. You don't want to miss it.
It's Brad Friedman, your friendly investigative blogger, journalist, and host of the Bradcast on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
U.S. arms deliveries to Ukraine have resumed. That word from Ukrainian and Polish officials. Sagar Magani reports it comes as the Trump administration waits for Russia's response to a ceasefire deal Kyiv endorses.
It's up to Russia now. President Trump says he hopes Moscow signs off on a proposal that could lead to the war ending. Secretary of State Marco Rubio would like to see Russia stop its attacks on Ukraine in coming days.
The fighting stops and the talking starts.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says it's important not to get ahead of things, and Russia needs more detailed information from the U.S. before making any decision. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky is also waiting for Moscow's answer, saying a 30-day ceasefire would allow both sides to work out a step-by-step plan for ending the war. A Trump envoy is expected to travel this week to Moscow, where he could meet with Putin. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Meanwhile, President Trump openly challenging U.S. allies, imposing 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports.
The United States of America is going to